Welcome back to the Real Friends podcast. We are here with my resident dinosaur expert, Bailey.
And
What's
real
up,
friend.
man? And real friend. And oldest friend, actually.
Right.
Yeah. Since, before we were born. Bailey's here. What's up, man?
Not too much. Ready to talk about dinosaurs.
Yeah, we are going to talk about dinosaurs. So, if you couldn't figure it out already, we're talking about Jurassic World Rebirth. The most recent, this is what, number 7, I think?
I lost track after 3.
Yeah, I think this is the 7th Jurassic Park movie. Watch the first one to remember that there are good Jurassic Park movies, because recently there have not been. And so just give me your initial thoughts on this. What did as a whole? What did you think?
It had a lot of good aspects. It had a lot of questionable aspects to it as well.
Yeah.
I don't want to skip straight to the grade, but I think it was solid C material at best.
Sure. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I was telling you this on the drive back. It feels to me like the Force Awakens of Jurassic Park.
Absolutely.
It's one of those ones that it tried to basically just recreate the original to keep people interested, and there were good aspects of that. There's also a lot in this movie that I couldn't stand. There's certain, pieces of dialogue that didn't matter. This movie did not need to be, what was it, almost 2.5 hours? Yeah, it did not need to be nearly 2.5 hours. So, we'll get into it. Because the movie just came out, I don't want to, go point by point the entire movie and ruin it. But, let's just talk about it a little, right? It opens on, 17 years ago. They're on an island, like a testing facility, and we get a call back to the first film where they had to reboot the system, and so all the dinosaurs got loose, and that happens right away. And I mean, what did you think of the opening?
I really liked it. I think it was a good callback. Definitely introduced the mutant aspect to the movie right away. Gave us a little bit of a background of what they are, how they got there. Without spoiling too much, but I think it set the tone pretty well.
Sure, yeah, and it introduced us to a couple mutant dinosaurs, right? Like the D-Rex, which terrifying.
Yes, Mutodon.
Yeah, the Mutodon. Yeah, the two-headed. Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah, the entire movie, this guy's sitting beside me, just saying the name of dinosaurs as they came up. It was cool. It was good. I felt immersed in that world, so it worked out. And then it goes forward, right? And it's we meet this dude who is sitting in New York traffic, and we look up and there's a dinosaur just walking through the city that had escaped from a zoo, right? And we meet our girl Scarlett Johansson's character, and you said it, and I agree. ScarJo wasn't great in this movie.
No, I think it definitely should have been maybe a lesser known actress. I don't like the fact that she hops straight from Marvel to Jurassic Park and we're supposed to forget Black Widow. It's just that you just can't think of anything else when you watch her. I mean, she's a good actress. I love her to death. But, I just think that wasn't the right choice for the casting.
But we get the basis of what the movie's going to be about, right? And the character motivations were kind of suspect in this. It's all about money, which I know a lot of things in the world are all about money, but the main guy is telling her hey, I need you to do this project, it's about dinosaurs, I need you to go get something, basically retrieve it, and she's absolutely not. She's I'm not breaking the law, I'm not doing this. And then he tells her, well, it's going to be $10 million, and she's all right, I'm in, let's do it. So it wasn't very hard to convince her to do this.
Yeah, it's like they tried to get corporate greed as the bad guy. It wasn't InGen. It wasn't anything like that. It was corporate greed was the bad guy.
Yeah, corporate greed and healthcare.
Yeah,
were the villains of this movie. And we didn't talk about it, but it's directed by Gareth Edwards, and I don't know a ton of Gareth Edwards stuff, but he did Star Wars Rogue One. And that movie rips. In my opinion, that's the best Star Wars movie that's ever come out.
Hot take.
Yeah, man. I think it is. I think it's...
talk about that later.
I think it's better than Empire. I really do. But, anyhow, I was expecting, all right, we got ScarJo. We have, no ties to the other movies, really, other than the dinosaurs. We've got Gareth Edwards. This should be pretty good. And it was fine. I
liked the plot. I liked pretty much the whole, idea of the movie, I feel like it was rushed. I feel like they kind of forced that corporate greed narrative, and I think they accomplished their goal of beating Superman to the theater, but at what cost?
At what cost? Exactly.
They needed a couple more script revisions. The boyfriend in the movie, absolutely terrible.
That entire
worst character of any movie ever.
That entire storyline was terrible.
It wasn't even
there was no point. So the storyline we're talking about, which we meet pretty quickly, but before we did that, we went and got Dr. Loomis, right? And he's like the expert on dinosaurs.
He's a paleontologist.
Right? Yeah, and
works at a museum, which is dying now. The dinosaurs are actually alive.
Yeah, nobody cares about dinosaurs now that they're a thing again. And they convince him that he's going to go along with them to identify dinosaurs because they need to get samples from 3 different gigantic dinosaurs to make heart medication. I feel like we need to have a science corner because you're much more of a scientist than I am.
I am not a cardiologist, so I cannot speak about anything in the pharmaceutical world.
You talk about these people that are giants in real life, right? Like these dudes that, like the tallest man that ever lived, like 7 foot whatever, and the Great Khali. Like all these people with how large they are have heart issues. So why would getting dinosaurs that have the biggest hearts in the world help your heart? Doesn't really make sense to me. But that's the plot of the movie. If you get this DNA from the dinosaurs and they have to be alive, you can't have them be dead because the hemoglobin and the oxygen and whatever. It's movie magic, right?
Lots of movie magic in this movie. They have a tyrannosaur disappear in a creek. It happens.
A very shallow creek.
Yes.
Yeah. And then, we go meet Mashahir Ali, right? And they do this. It was kind of funny. They do this bit about he's refusing to help them unless, they get more money, right? And it was clearly something he coordinated with Scarlett Johansson's character to get them to double the pay, and the InGen guy's like, whatever, fine.
I feel like they needed a couple more takes on that. I think the premise of it is funny that they're squeezing this corporate guy for more money, but it just, the execution wasn't there.
No, not at all. And it's weird because, like, Mashahir Ali and Scarlett Johansson are great actors.
I like Ali. I think he's a solid actor. ScarJo, but she's more like there for looks, I think.
100%.
She's selling posters.
Yeah, she is selling posters. But yeah, anyhow, so he's going to drive their boat to the island, right? So he's got his crew of guys. His main henchman, who we both called was going to die very quickly, was most recently the flame-throwing henchman from Ballerina. So he's been in 2 movies.
Know that.
Yeah, he's been in 2 movies. Very bad.
Did he die early in that movie too?
Nah, he died late in that one. Yeah, very late. One of the last deaths, actually.
You guys, money's worth out.
Spoiler for Ballerina, but hey, whatever. It came out over a month ago. It's not even in theaters anymore. So they start heading, on the boat to the island, and then we meet the worst storyline in the film. This reminded me, going back to Star Wars, of Finn and whatever that little girl he was in love with's name going to the casino island, or casino planet, and having no point in the movie. It was to add runtime. This family sucked. Yeah. This family was not interesting. All it did was give us a child, and Mundo says this on all the other podcasts, stop giving me kids in movies if there's a 0% chance they're going to die.
Yeah. Right. You know the kid's not going to die.
Right.
And no one from the family dies
right.
in that movie. Not even the annoying boyfriend who, let's be honest, probably shouldn't be in the movie at all.
Yeah, and should have died a couple times.
Not even on the sailboat that they ended up wrecking.
Yeah. He should have died. It did create a cool scene that we'll talk about in a little bit, like the fact that he existed, but yeah.
At least he's self-aware.
Yeah, he knows that he's a piece of crap. Yeah, which that should have paid off too. Like, he should have done something bad then, but he never did.
Nope.
So anyhow, the family gets attacked by a dinosaur. They're sailing. They're trying to sail before the girl goes to college. The daughter gets to college.
Dad of the Year award right there. I'm just going to take my 2 daughters and her boyfriend across the ocean on a sailboat.
Yep. And
a tiny little sailboat.
Sailboat gets capsized, right? And they start yelling Mayday and stuff. And the boat with all of our titular characters hear it. But right before this, we have probably my least favorite scene in the movie. When I just, instead of calling her Scarlett Johansson, I need to see what her actual name is. Zora. Yeah.
Dr. Bennett.
Yeah. So
no, she's not a doctor.
I don't think she's a doctor. She's a mercenary.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
But yeah, Zora is talking to Duncan, the Mashahir Ali character, and they're talking about their trauma. Right, she's talking about how someone she was really close to just died. Then they start talking about how Duncan's kid died, and it's I understand the point it's trying to make, but it was pretty pointless.
If you do it via flashback or something, or like
just
a quick cutaway, a click flashback. If you want to set the tone, I'm not saying you should set that precedent there, but like give us more than just forced dialogue.
Yeah,
basically telling us the background.
That's the point. It's not forced dialogue, because here's the thing you can do that they did is they showed a picture of a kid and Duncan getting upset looking at it. As an audience, we're not stupid. We can infer that it was his kid, something bad happened to him, and that's why he's so closely tied to the little girl from the family.
And it does affect his character throughout the movie, right?
Right.
He's very protective of these children that are on the island with him.
Yeah, exactly. But you don't need to tell us, that scene was dumb. I didn't enjoy it at all, and it wasn't well delivered, it wasn't well written, it just wasn't good. But anyhow, so their boat hears the Mayday, and they have to decide whether they're going to continue on their mission because they're so close to finding the first dinosaur, or if they're going to turn back and help. So they decide to turn back and help. And when they do, it turns out the dinosaur they were looking for to get the first sample is the one that capsized the boat. So the dinosaur attacks their boat, then they're able to get the sample, and then we get this other storyline that's just shoehorning in the bad guy, the InGen guy.
It's Parker Industries.
Oh, yeah, it's not InGen. Oh, right. All right. So he works for Yeah, you're right. Parker Industries. So they get attacked. The oldest daughter of the crappy family runs to get on the walkie and tell people where they are, and he runs in and stops her, and as he does, he kind of shoves her off the boat. Let's be honest,
she does the shoving.
Yeah.
She loses her balance and almost falls to her death.
Yeah. And then we see his heel turn, right, where he's looking at her and he just wants her to fall off the boat, and he doesn't help her.
He doesn't exactly risk his life to save her, but he doesn't try to kill her. He's just kind of indifferent to her survival, which I guess kind of makes him a villain.
I guess it's trying
like
to.
I said,
anyhow.
it's corporate greed that is the true villain here.
Yeah, and he's the embodiment of it in this. But yeah, so she falls overboard. The
piece of shit boyfriend steps up and dives overboard to rescue her, which was kind of a turning point, I guess.
Well, should have been
a turning point,
but it wasn't, because he went right back to being a piece of shit immediately after.
Yep.
Yeah. So he dives off to save her, and then the dad and the little girl jump off the boat, and then they realize they're going to crash, which this also didn't make sense to me. So they're trying to go in the shallows to get away from this big dinosaur.
The mosasaur.
Yeah, and they're heading towards the beach, and everyone jumps off except Duncan, and then Duncan just drives the boat up on the shore.
He doesn't even try to brake, reverse course,
and
steer of any kind. Just
why didn't they just stay on the boat?
We're gonna run her aground.
Yeah, why didn't they just stay on the boat and all do that?
Right.
I don't know.
There's some questionable decisions throughout the movie.
Yeah, but right when the beginning of this battle happens, the henchman I was talking about immediately gets killed. Yes. So he's our first death. Which
plucked right off the side of the boat by a Spinosaurus aegyptius.
Yeah, because the name of this movie, instead of being Jurassic World Rebirth, should have been Jurassic World Crew Expendable.
Yeah,
because they're the only expendable people in this
movie.
There's
not really any rebirthing going on throughout the movie. It's kind of like old things maybe becoming new. Maybe that's where the rebirth comes from.
Old things birthing again. I don't know.
Add title to list of questions. About
well, anytime there's a sequel that the first two letters are R-E, it's probably going to be bad.
Nostalgia sells, though.
It does. Yeah, and like we were talking about, this is not the worst Jurassic Park movie. It's probably not even close to the worst, honestly, but it's not good. So yeah, they get on shore, right, and then another one of the crew gets killed. We don't even really get to see it, which was disappointing. She like walked behind this like pile of stuff and just gets eaten.
If you're gonna lean into the horror aspect, you gotta show people dying.
Right.
You gotta show it.
Yeah, which they leaned into that very heavily in the final act of the film, but the rest of the time, not really.
Yeah.
Yeah, not really. So yeah, another member of the crew is dead. They start perusing through the island. At this point, the family is separated from the main crew, and they were told there's a village on the island, which I don't think that's true. I don't think that was a village.
Village is not the word I would use to describe it.
It was like a
facility.
base. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a facility with a gas station. Right. That's not a village. Because I'm picturing like a King Kong village that they're going to get to, and it's a bunch of cannibals and...
More like a base.
Yeah, like a base camp, for sure. So anyhow, now we have two separate storylines we're going to have to follow. So we've got the scientists trying to go get the samples, and we've got the family trying to make their way to the village. None of the scenes with the family from now until the very end of the movie had to happen, but they kept happening. And I think it was, and you said one cool aspect of it was they just threw in different dinosaurs.
They did, yeah. They weren't specific species or anything like that. I mean, I'm no expert, but it just, they would cut away to a scene with the family, and there would be a dinosaur slithering into the water or like down a tree. They definitely were able to throw in different dinosaurs there. So, you're not just focusing on the big scary ones.
Right. But, I think the best way to go about this is I want to go through what the family did, because it's pointless to the movie kind of, and then go back to our scientists to the real story. So, there's just a couple moments with the family, right? Like they bunker down this little area, and the little girl meets a tiny dinosaur she names Dolores. I told you, I'm pretty convinced they made this storyline to sell that toy.
Absolutely.
It was
merchandise.
Like... Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why that dinosaur and that little girl have anything to do with this movie.
Yeah, it's an Ewok from Return of the Jedi.
Yes, great comparison. It is a dinosaur Ewok.
Yeah. And then so the boyfriend, right? The boyfriend and the dad start trying to have a moment. And the dad's like, "Thank you so much for saving her," and he's like, I'm a piece of shit. I'm glad she doesn't know who I am.
Well, he says, you really you proved yourself. He's like, no, I really didn't.
Yeah.
He's like, and he said I was wrong about you.
Yeah.
He goes, no, you're right. I'm lazy.
Yeah. And then he goes, I don't even know why your daughter likes me. And he goes, well, she sees who you really are. And he's like, I'm glad she doesn't.
Right.
That should have payoff.
Right.
That has zero payoff. Nothing else happens. Then he's like, I got to go pee. And at this moment, we were both like, he's going to die. Has to die.
And we were hoping at this point that he would.
Yeah, I was hoping he would from the moment we met him.
He was like the lawyer in the first movie. Just waiting for him to die.
Yeah.
But this movie was less satisfying than the first.
Yeah, the first movie, there was some plot armor. Like, you knew the kids weren't going to die, obviously. Right. But, like, most other people got killed off. At that point
in 1993, did we know the kids wouldn't die?
Sure.
I mean, we probably had a good idea that they wouldn't die.
Yeah.
But... at this point, it's almost 30 years later.
It's more, 32,
later,
yeah.
We know that the kids aren't going to die.
Yeah, exactly. But, yeah, so the kid walks away to pee, and we see raptors walking up on him. And I'm like, oh, yeah,
the kid's totally oblivious to him,
yeah,
too. Has
no idea.
He's being stalked.
And instead of dying, was it a pterodactyl that came out and saved him?
That was the Mutodon.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah, Mutodon came down, attacked the raptor, killed it, carried it off, and all that happened to him was a little blood squirted on him from the dinosaur. Like,
didn't even pee himself either.
No.
He continued to pee that after he witnessed.
He pulled the Austin Powers where the pee stream stops and then it goes again. Yeah. And then we go down a little bit farther with the family, and the dad at this point has hurt himself. He hurt his leg, and they find this little area with like a lake, like a pond, or no,
it's
like
a
river.
Lagoon, sort of. Yeah, like a backwater eddy sort of thing.
Yeah, where the boat is, right? That we're talking about? Yeah. And she sees a boat, so she starts walking over to it, and this scene was ruined by the trailer.
Yes, it would have been a phenomenal scene had it not been spoiled in the trailer.
Yeah, she's walking up to the boat, and a T-Rex is like my dog out in the yard rolling in the grass, right?
He's
rolls
sleeping.
over. Yeah.
The Dilophosaurus makes a noise.
Yeah.
It rolls over and shows itself.
Yeah. And then she's like dragging. So the boat was broken, couldn't use it, but oh, thank God, there's an inflatable raft, right? And she pulls it over, and it says specifically on the box, "Inflate on land." So she inflates it. Yeah,
in front of the T-Rex, like right literally right in front of the sleeping T-Rex. It's like a horror movie. You know, like, don't open the door. Don't open the door.
Yeah, why don't we just get in the running car? Yeah. What are you talking about? Let's go hide behind the chainsaws.
Yeah, like the commercial.
Yeah, the Geico commercial. It's great. It's hilarious. But part of what didn't make sense to me with this either is she's walking it out this wooden dock, making all this noise, when the water was so much farther back. She could have just got in the water.
She could have.
Like, could have inflated it on land, dragged it in the water, and kept going. But that wouldn't have made it as suspenseful, I guess.
Right.
So then the raft miraculously, like, it flops up and covers the T-Rex.
Yes,
it falls down and the T-Rex
She pulls the lever to inflate the raft, right?
Yeah.
Box kind of explodes, raft inflates, sits perpendicular to the dock, hiding her from the T-Rex that obviously wakes up. And then when the raft flips back over the way it should be, T-Rex is gone.
Yeah, and then the raft just miraculously spins itself around to the front of the dock so that they can all get on.
There's some physics issues as well.
Yeah, and they get on the raft and the dinosaur's just drinking water, not even paying attention.
I kind of like that aspect to it. Like, he woke up, didn't really see anything, although the yellow life raft, I feel like he probably would have been curious to that. But we kind of get a little scene of him or a little clip of him, you know, kind of doing what he would do.
Just existing.
Right, just existing, right.
Yeah. But, so they all get on the raft, and then as soon as they do, the T-Rex sees them, and they decide, hey, let's paddle upstream and see what happens.
It's kind of like the Jeep scene from the first movie where they're evading the T-Rex, except in very slow motion. They're paddling what seems like upstream. I guess in hindsight now it's downstream.
I don't know.
It must have been downstream.
It must have been like the river came to a point and it was downstream both ways.
Yeah,
is that how water works?
It's gravity, equator, whatever hemisphere they're in.
Underground mountain, you know, like underwater mountain. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, they're paddling away, right? And it's crazy to me, like, most of this movie was so beautiful. But this scene specifically, you could clearly see the CGI and the green screen and stuff. At least I could. Like you see the dad, like, trying to swim, and you can clearly tell he's just, like, in a pool, and the entire rest of the world is CGI. It was very not... What bothers me is that a movie that came out 32 years ago looks much better CGI-wise than a movie that's coming out now. But anyhow, that, you know, we do get a cool, like, Jaws scene with the T-Rex that as he's chasing down the raft, which we saw a trailer for Jaws before this movie, 50th anniversary of this year. And so the T-Rex gets up there and it flips the raft and sends them all down water the other way.
Yeah, first of all, let's talk about the raft that never once got punctured. Never once. It's one of those inflatable rafts.
Yeah.
T-Rex tooth never punctured it.
Yeah, because after they all, like, fall out, right, like, the three adults, like, float down this little break in the rock and they can't find the little girl, she's under the raft. So the T-Rex picks up the raft in its mouth, biting
it around like a gator.
Yeah, and the little girl is not in it, obviously, because we know she's not going to die. Like, there's no suspense in scenes with kids like this, because you know they're not going to die.
Somebody somewhere has got to set the precedent.
Yeah.
That kids could die in movies.
Yeah, I mean...
That way there's suspense in other movies.
Sometimes it happens. Like,
bite the bullet,
have
a kid die in a movie.
Yeah, but a big blockbuster's not going to do it. Like, they're not going to do it. There was one, you haven't seen it yet, so I'm not going to talk about it. There was one that killed a kid earlier this year, and it was the biggest gasp I've ever had in a film.
See, it works.
Yeah, it's great. You know, kill more kids in movies is what we're trying to say. But yeah, so the little girl, like, finally gets to her family right as the T-Rex's head goes in between the cracks, and the crack in the rock is too small for him to get through.
Your prototypical get to a spot where a dinosaur can't eat you type of scenario, like in 3 where they get, you know, the hole in the fence.
Yep.
Right? You got to get to where the dinosaur can't get you.
Yep.
And apparently those places exist a lot.
A lot, yeah. Which is interesting. If that many exist, how do dinosaurs stay alive?
Yeah, I would think they would die of starvation.
You would think, but who knows? But, you know, in that moment, then they're all standing there looking at each other. They're relieved, and the freaking life raft just pops out from under the
I
rock.
think that was their attempt to get people to gasp in the theater, like,
Yeah.
oh, something's happening again. But
Yeah.
no, nobody.
It was-
It's just kind of. It was either that or it was supposed to be funny. I'm not really sure why.
Yeah, it was self-aware at least because all the actors started laughing, but like it wasn't funny. It was kind of dumb.
It's like a sad attempt at a jump scare,
Yeah.
joke hybrid type of thing.
Right. And then I don't even know. Do we even see much more with the family, or that's kind of end of
The
road
next
for
time
them?
we see them, they've floated almost to the facility. That
Yeah,
is
at the
there,
end.
so.
Cool. All right, so let's go back to the story that matters in this movie, if you can pick one that matters. We go back to the scientists. They have their first sample. They start trying to walk to find their second sample. What was that dinosaur?
The Titanosaur.
The Titanosaur. Yeah. So they're walking around trying to find
Which
that.
it's the world's biggest land dinosaur.
Okay.
So I can't imagine they would be very hard to find.
Right.
I mean, they know it's in this valley from satellite images. So
Yeah.
I guess they're Google Earthing this place before they
Yeah.
go, which is good. They put in some legwork. But it's really surprisingly hard for them to find this Titanosaur.
Yeah, and while they're on the way there, our guy Martin, the dude from the pharmaceutical company, finds a gun. He finds a pilot that had crashed their plane is, thankfully Deus Ex gun holding it down so that he can grab it and take
Literally
it.
right in front of him. No
Yeah.
one else saw it.
Yeah.
He just happened to bend down, get
Not-
a drink of water.
Not the mercenaries who this is their whole job. No, it's
Yeah,
just
he's the only one that noticed it.
Yep. So he takes the gun.
Helicopter crashed into a tree. Nope. Nobody found it.
Yeah, and I thought that was going to be, spoiler alerts for the end, I thought that was going to be the helicopter they were supposed to get to at the end.
Yeah.
Had already crashed.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, that's what I thought they were going with, but no, that was not the case. So anyhow, they find the big dinosaur, and this is a callback entirely to the first film when
absolutely.
Alan Grant, that's the first dinosaur he sees. And they have that awesome
the
moment.
grab. Alan Grant grabs her head.
Yeah.
And turns to the dinosaur.
Yeah, because she won't stop talking.
Right.
He's just like, look at it. Like, and then, because Jeff Goldblum has the great line. He's like, you son of a bitch. You actually did it. Like, yeah. So cool. I can't imagine in 1993 being in the theater and seeing that for the first time. Would have lost my mind.
Would have been incredible.
Yeah. So yeah, they get the sample from that one, which they shoot it in the neck with the gun. And we're about to get to why this gun bothers me in a minute.
Did it have to be the neck? And I thought you had to be within 10 meters of the thing, right?
I think that was just for the ocean one because of how thick its skin was.
Oh, I can't imagine a Titanosaur has thinner skin.
Right? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it shoots it right in the neck. And I thought, because at that point Loomis is like right behind its foot, I thought it was going to stomp him or like have the illusion of stomping him, right? Because you just got shot in the neck. You've probably never had a puncture in your life. You're not going to react to
It's
that.
like a mosquito to it, though. I don't think it truly felt it.
I guess. But it does like make a noise when
they
it
were
happens.
kind of getting busy with each other.
That's
I think
fair.
He was a little preoccupied with his lady.
Yeah, that's fair. That's very fair. But yeah, so we have that, and then they're like, all right, 2 samples down, 1 to go, and they look up, and the flying dinosaur
The
named
Munodon. Which was really cool. I think, taking a pterodactyl, merging it with a raptor, I think that was a cool combo there.
Yeah.
I can see what they were getting at.
It's the last dinosaur they need to get a sample from. But this is what bothers me.
Oh, no,
right?
you're talking Quetzalcoatlus. I thought you were back to the Munodon.
Oh, yeah, no,
Sorry.
yeah, the Quetzalcoatlus. Yeah,
the
that's
flying F-16 dinosaur.
Yeah.
You're right. Sorry.
So what bothered me about this is that with the other 2 dinosaurs, they just shot an adult and were able to get their sample. With this one, for some reason, they can't shoot.
Can I give you the hypothesis?
Sure.
I just think it was easier to get the egg. I think the Quetzalcoatlus being so big, so deadly, and the fact that it flies, I don't think they could get close enough. Or they felt they couldn't get close enough.
That's fair.
That's just my idea.
My opinion would be if you're already climbing to the top of that cliff, wait till it comes back and shoot it. And then as it goes away...
It's not going to kill it, though. Like, it's still dangerous, and now it's pissed off.
Yeah.
It knows you're there.
That's fair.
I think that's why they wanted to get the egg.
That's fair.
But
All
anyway,
right.
cool. It is questionable as to why if the egg will even work. They just kind of walk right up to it and he goes, yep, That's going to work.
Yeah, well, what bothered me was the line, right? I mean, I know it's the line in the trailer, but, the Martin guy, the pharmaceutical guy, is like...
Mr. Krebs.
Why can't Mr. Krebs.
No, his name's Martin Krebs.
Yeah, it is. But he goes, why can't we just get it from the adult? And Loomis is like, we could get it from the adult, but it's a flying dinosaur the size of an F-16. Yeah, you just shot 2 dinosaurs that were bigger than it. Like, what's...
Like, bigger than a World War II submarine.
Yeah, like what's the problem? I don't know.
I guess there was no eggs to go after in that situation. Fair. For the mosasaur.
Fair.
And the titanosaur was docile enough, being a herbivore.
All right, that's fair. I can be on board. Like, it was fine. It created a cool scene, right? Like, it was kind of like in Lord of the Rings, where the troll is peering around the poles, trying to get they're around the pillars, trying to get Frodo. Like, that's kind of what it was with this big dinosaur going after Zora. So anyhow, like, they get the sample from the egg, and then we have a scene where Loomis falls. We do see that in the trailer. They're trying to hold on to his rope. And the sample, he drops the sample, right? And it falls on the side, and he's climbing up. He finally gets a hold of it because the dinosaur is distracted by eating the last member of the crew that could die.
The French guy.
Yeah, the French dude. So yeah, the dinosaur's busy eating him, and homie gets down to the sample and he grabs it, but as he grabs it, his rope rips. And so he, like, grabs it. I don't know if he tried to make it parachute or not, but it parachutes.
Which, is there a button that you could manually make it parachute?
I don't know, because it was part of the automation.
Right. It should have gone off when the sample filled up in his hand.
Right.
But it didn't.
It did not. So I don't know. Science.
It does end up conveniently landing right beside the conveniently placed pool that he lands.
Conveniently lands. Yeah, he drops from this huge cliff and hits every branch all the way down like a Disney movie.
Yeah.
And lands in this pool. And then I told you, I was like, dude, the sample's gonna land right there. And sure enough, we see his friends in the background who have miraculously gotten down the hill just in time.
If they would have spent a couple minutes looking around, they would have realized that there's steps.
They wouldn't have had to rappel
instead of
down
rappelling down the precarious cliff.
And then, we see the parachute come down and it drops right beside him. So, very campy, very, it was funny. Like, that was funny even though we saw it coming. Like, this was one of the most predictable movies, and then they threw a wrench in the end that wasn't predictable and made it kind of bad. But we'll get there. They get their samples, and then they start heading to the facility, and they get there and meet back up with the family. And for some reason...
After yelling for what seemed like 3 minutes, attracting every known carnivore within 8 square miles. But yet they can't hear each other.
That's the point. Like, it's such a quiet place. There's no lights. There's no anything. It's so silent. Everyone's screaming, but no one can hear each other. It can't be more than a quarter mile.
And then they walk around a corner and they meet.
There they are. Yeah. So right before this, Scarlett Johansson decides to cut a fence to go through when she easily could have stepped through, stepped over, stepped around. Doesn't make any sense. I thought maybe she doesn't like walking through fences, but then later she does. So, I don't know.
A little theatrical there.
A little bit. But like you were saying, then they meet up with all the family, right?
After she pulls a Mrs. Kirby and just starts screaming. The runway from Jurassic Park 3.
Yeah.
That they attract the Spinosaurus. It's another callback, some more nostalgia.
Yeah, tons of that. Like I said, just like The Force Awakens, just tons of callbacks to the originals to be like, hey, check this out. We're trying to make something new, but not really. And then, they're talking a little more. They're trying to, figure out where the helipad is, because a helicopter is supposed to be meeting them there that night, because there was a fail-safe put in place.
Supposedly, if their boat signal went dead for 24 hours, there would be a chopper come and circle the helipad
for 2 minutes.
At dusk for 2 minutes, which, dusk
and 2 minutes. What are we doing?
That's a little far-fetched. You want to be there in good visibility,
right?
Not at dark when all the bad dinosaurs come out. But
no, dumb.
I digress.
Signing your own death certificate, but then it leans very much into the horror aspect, because we start to hear this noise.
Which honestly was the best part.
I thought so.
If they treated the whole movie, or the majority of it, like they were leaning into these horror aspects, I think it would have been a much better movie.
Yeah, the final, 15, 20 minutes of the movie is probably the best, by far. So yeah, they hear, the one person thinks it's a generator, and then it growls, and it's not a generator, but there is a generator.
Funny comment of the movie. The only one, he goes, it sounds like the generator's angry.
Yeah.
That was funny. That was a little chuckle-worthy there.
Yep.
One joke that landed.
Yeah, but I guess we should mention it now because it's important. Right before this is when they meet back up with the family. The girl's like, where is he? Where's the guy that tried to kill me? And he walks out, and he's got the gun. Yeah. So even leaning even more heavily into the horror aspect. But then all the lights in the town come on, and we hear a song. I don't remember what the song was. Do you?
It's on the tip of my tongue.
I know.
It's a good song.
It is.
And a creepy kind of song, the way they play it over the loudspeaker there. And the bass.
Yeah, but no, I don't remember what it was. But it doesn't matter. It's very creepy, right? These songs are playing, and then dinosaurs show up.
Yeah, lights come on, song starts playing. Shit's gonna go down.
Yep, and this is when they get attacked by the mutadons.
Yes, this is where the mutadons come into play, and there's two, I believe.
Yes, yep, there's two. Yeah, and so the groups separate conveniently into the family again, who goes into the convenience store, the gas station, and then everybody else, like Zora and the pharmaceutical guy, are together under a car. Mr. Krebs. I keep forgetting his name because he sucked. Rupert Friend is cool. He's a decent actor. He sucked in this. It wasn't great. And then, oh my gosh. Loomis and Duncan are together and they're somewhere else. And then we get almost a shot-for-shot remake of the raptor scene with the kids from the first Jurassic Park in the convenience store with the mutadons following them around. And they escape through a drain hole and get down in. Meanwhile outside, Krebs, there you go, said his name. Krebs and Zora are being attacked by another one, and Krebs is trying to shoot it and couldn't hit it. He was another
terrible shot.
Another Star Wars callback. He's a stormtrooper.
Yeah, he was a stormtrooper. That's a great analogy. That's a great analogy.
Got a stormtrooper right behind me. Yeah. So yeah, he tries to shoot it. He doesn't. She's trying to get the gun from him. He won't let her. And then he sees keys in the Hummer, right? You said it was a Hummer?
Yes, it was a Hummer. Which, side note, these new Hummers that are out, the electric ones, probably don't have keys, right? Push to start.
I'm sure they're push to start.
You would think. Anyway.
Yeah, and it's funny that it was a new Hummer because this was supposed to be a place abandoned for 17 years.
Right.
So,
but they didn't show enough of it to make it obviously a new Hummer. Yeah. So, I think they were trying to make it look like a Jeep, but Hummer paid the money to be in the movie.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, there was a whole lot of product placement. Dr. Pepper, M&M's, every candy you could think of. Yeah. Lots of product placement in this. So that tells me they don't think it's going to make that much money, but we'll see. It's a Jurassic Park movie released around 4th of July. It probably will make a lot of money. But, so he gets in the Jeep and drives it away, leaving her to fend for herself, right? And she runs away. And then meanwhile, we get the bulk of what's happening right now is that Loomis and Duncan find the laboratory from the beginning of the movie. They're looking around. They see the Mutadon. It looks like a second stage of Mutadon, right? Because it looks like it has two heads.
I think it was a failed Mutadon.
Okay.
It ended up with two heads, and they were just leaving it in the incubator.
Yeah.
Didn't want anything to do with it because they messed up.
Sure. And then we see the spot for the D-Rex, right? And it's walking by as Loomis sees it. But at that point, the helicopter shows up.
Right. But they don't know that the D-Rex is there. They're just preoccupied with this helicopter. Gotta get rescued.
Yep. Gotta get rescued. So Loomis goes out to try to get the helicopter. Meanwhile, the family is going through the tunnels and stuff, and at that point, our girl Zora sees the Mutadon go down in the tunnels after them, so she jumps in and has her little Black Widow landing on the ground moment.
With the gun.
Yeah, with the gun.
She took from Mr. Krebs.
Yeah, she got it from him as he was escaping. And so Loomis finds flares because the helicopter's leaving because its 2 minutes are done. And he shoots off the flare. Helicopter sees it and starts to come back. And there were a lot of moments in this movie where they had just like fog or smoke or something.
You could just see a passing image of the D-Rex just kind of in the background.
Yeah, you knew a dinosaur was coming. What you didn't know is that the D-Rex ate the helicopter.
Yeah, very quietly ate the helicopter.
Yeah, annihilated it. So Loomis starts to run away. Meanwhile, Duncan has figured out that this underground passage leads to a boat. So they could get
another
to the
boat. Another boat.
Another boat.
And there's plenty of boats in this movie.
Yep, gonna need a bigger boat. So they start heading for that, and then all of our characters meet up in the tunnels, except for Krebs, who is driving, trying to get to the boat.
Yeah, he hit that Hummer, man, and he was escaping. We're not really sure where he was going. He ended up driving in a big circle. I'm not sure where he thought he was going.
Yeah, because how did he know the boat was there? He wasn't around when they discovered it.
I think he was just trying. He was following the road. He was he was out of it.
So all characters meet up, but it's like the scene in Braveheart where the Scottish dude or Irish guy is walking up to William Wallace to shoot him when he's actually not shooting him. He's shooting the person behind him that's trying to kill him. That's what happens here. They meet up all together and Zora pulls the gun and starts shooting, and she's shooting the Mutadon behind them. And
this time accurately.
Yeah, like right in the neck repeatedly.
And
I think she killed it, or at least neutralized it.
It definitely incapacitated it.
Yeah. And so they get to this fence that they can't get through, but they can see the boat on the other side. And everyone's trying to squeeze through and they can't. So at this point, little girl's going to do it. But what's not suspenseful is she's not going to die. So it doesn't matter if she goes to open the gate. But she does, and sure enough, the D-Rex peers its ugly head around the corner.
It's definitely not a looker.
Yeah, no, it looks like a hammerhead.
It's not as pretty as Rexy.
Yeah. So the little girl opens the gate. They all kind of get out and try to get to the boat, but they're being blocked by the D-Rex. Thankfully, Krebsy boy starts driving up, and this was really funny.
Great unintentional distraction.
Yeah, and it was really funny too in the car. I don't know if you heard what the car said, but the car goes, "Please brake, pedestrian ahead." Yeah, and it's just the D-Rex.
Yeah, the car was talking to him the whole time. He was driving away.
Yeah. Yeah. So the D-Rex, this is this is the most brutal death in the movie. Stomps the car, puts it up in the air, and then she bites him in half.
It's not really half.
Yeah.
She bites everything except for the hand that is cuffed to the briefcase with the samples in it. Conveniently, which falls right in front of our girl, Zora. And she grabs it.
So they pick it up, they start heading to the boat, but the boat, for some reason, the winch isn't working, so they can't get it down, and the D-Rex is coming for them. So then we have our big protagonist that has to sacrifice himself moment with Duncan, which was cool until they ruined it.
They really figured out on the fly very quickly that supposedly this D-Rex is attracted to light. Wasn't apparent to me at all.
Yeah, not at all.
And they literally say, "Oh, it's attracted to light." And of course, somebody has a flare.
Yep. So he takes all the flares that Loomis had from trying to get the helicopter, sparks one. And this made me mad too, because they showed this in the trailer. And it hadn't happened the whole movie, and now it happens now.
Another spoiler from the trailer. Yeah. Which is also nostalgic, from Jurassic World, when they lead the T-Rex to the Indominus.
Yep.
And then from the first Jurassic Park movie where Dr. Alan Grant leads him away from the kids with the flare.
Yes. Yeah. The very first time we see the T-Rex in that movie.
Right.
Yeah. So he leads it away. Zora is able to get the boat down, right? And we see, and there is a rule in movies that we talk about that we should have known. If you don't see someone die on screen, they didn't die. And that clearly happens here. We don't see Duncan die. We see the D-Rex
He leads the D-Rex away with the flare.
Yeah.
And for all intents and purposes, he's dead.
Yeah.
We see the flare go out. They're going the opposite direction in the boat.
Yeah.
He's done.
Yeah. So they finally get the boat started right as the D-Rex almost gets to them, and they start going away. So we're like, oh, end of the movie, everyone's sad, Duncan's dead, and then we see a flare pop off, and Duncan is not dead. So they turn around, they go back and get him. This would have been a great fourth act thing, like Alien did, where they almost get back to him and he gets eaten by something.
Right.
That would have been cool.
Yes.
That would have made that worth it. But no, he's just rescued.
He survives for no reason. I mean,
because
I like the character a lot,
they want to put him in the next movie.
It made no sense for
That's
him
all
to
I can
survive
think.
in that way.
Yeah, they want to see if this movie's successful and continue to use ScarJo and Mashahir Ali in further films. That's all I can think.
At least show how he escaped to make it somewhat believable.
Yeah.
I mean, the last time we check in with him, the D-Rex is on him, and he's got a flare. He's cornered, can't go anywhere, somehow survives.
Yeah, I don't get it. Like, at least bite his arm off or something.
Biggest qualm of mine from this movie.
Yeah, I agree. It was the very end. You sat there in shock for, like, a decent amount of time. You're like, what was that?
Head.
Yeah, yeah. So they're, driving away, and then, the final nail in the corporate greed coffin is Loomis goes, what are you going to do with this stuff? And she's like, we're going to give the samples, we're going to give it to everyone so everyone can have health care.
Which Loomis throughout the movie has been trying to point Zora in the right direction, you know, to say, hey, maybe we don't sell this for $100 million or whatever it was.
But if you're her boy Duncan, aren't you pissed now? Because now he no longer has a boat, and he's not getting paid any money to get a new boat.
Right. He had no say in the matter.
Right. None. Yeah. She didn't even consult him.
No.
So that's the end of the movie. It was really great for us in our showing because as soon as the credits rolled, one of the Regal employees walked in and he goes, just so everybody knows, there's no after credit scene. So
he's doing the Lord's work right there, saving us some time from sitting there waiting for it.
We were all able to leave. So give me, I know you kind of said your score at the beginning, but give me your final thoughts on this movie, and then I want to talk about something else for a little. But give me your final thoughts on this, and then give me a score out of 10.
I mean, movie ended, I immediately thought C-.
Yeah.
We're talking like 7 out of 10 at best.
Sure.
But after this podcast, after talking about it, after poking holes in all the different plots, I think I'm gonna take it down a notch.
Yeah.
Like a 6.5 out of 10.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's still pretty okay. Like, that's not terrible.
It served its purpose.
Yeah.
It introduced us to new dinosaurs, mutant dinosaurs.
Yeah.
We got to see existing dinosaurs that we love. T-Rex was in it, although I don't think it was Rexy. It looked a little different than Rexy. Different island as well. But.
Yeah. I'm lower on it than you are, right? I mean, I'm at a 5 out of 10.
I like dinosaurs, so there's always going to be that baseline. I can't go down lower.
I think without dinosaurs, I'd be at like a 3.
Oh, I wouldn't even have gone.
Like, it's
I
very...
love you, man, but I'm not seeing that movie with you. Not without dinosaurs.
Yeah, it's very, very cool to get a summer blockbuster Jurassic Park movie. Every year, these are big events. Like, every year these come out. It's awesome. I get giddy to see dinosaurs on screen. This one just wasn't all that good, but it was okay.
I think we need something more than just like a PG-13 version.
I agree.
I think that's...
They
leaned into the horror a little bit there. I think they need to
do
lean
the
in harder.
entire movie
like an Alien movie.
Yeah.
I think they really need to do that.
Right. Alien, but with dinosaurs.
Right.
That would rip. That'd be so
awesome.
good. But real quick, we got to see an exclusive thing that people are only seeing in the theater, and that's we saw a teaser for The Odyssey. We're not going to talk about it because we want you to go to the movie. It's not...
And there's not much to talk about.
There's really not, right? But it looks like it's going to rip.
It does.
It's my most anticipated movie upcoming, and it doesn't come out until next July.
And there's no spoilers in what little bit of a trailer that we saw.
No, it
was enough information to tell you who was in it, get you interested.
And that's only a couple people. Like, this is like one of the biggest casts like in movie history potentially that's in it, and we just saw Tom Holland, John Bernthal, and Matt Damon. You should see the cast list.
I have not.
There were a ton of actors not at the Oscars this year because they were filming this movie.
Oh, that's always a good sign for a movie.
Yeah. So, yeah. All right. Well, that's Jurassic Park or Jurassic World Rebirth. Anything else? Are you good?
No, I think it was a good, not great movie. I would recommend seeing it, maybe not paying to see it.
Or go to the drive-ins and see it.
Yeah, that's my synopsis.
Yeah, you could do that. You could pay one ticket price to see 2 movies and go to the drive-ins.
That would be your best bang for your buck.
Absolutely. So, cool. All right. Well, hey, that's been the Real Friends Podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Later.